All right, so in this video, we're still determining whether or not it's a function or just a relation. So in the last video, I showed you how to do that, looking at the mapping of the domain and the range, the x and y values, and then also from the coordinates. So this now, we're going to look at it visually. I think visually is actually a little bit easier to look at, but we don't always get the visual for this one. So visually we can determine if the domain is repeated, because that's how we know whether or not it's a function. If the domain, the x values have been repeated, it is not a function. If it hasn't been repeated anywhere on the graph, then hey, that is called a function. So this is called the vertical line test. So if a line goes through more than one point anywhere on the graph, then the graph does not show a function. So with this one, we just want to draw some lines. Let's see, I'm going to use my line tool, and it's anywhere on the graph. So if I go through this line, well, that one passes. If I go through this line, that one passes, because the whole line only passes through one point. This point passes, so I kind of want to check all the points and make sure. I don't want to just check one point and go, yep, and move on. I want to make sure. I want to check each and every one. So see, since only one point is on each of these lines, that would be a yes. All right. So now graph number 2, I can't go through every single point here, but I can draw a couple of lines so I could go right through the kind of center of the graph there. It's only passing at that one point. I could do another one over here, another one over here. So no matter where I go on this graph, I'm only going to pass that what's called a parabola. That's what that arch is called, or arc. It's only going to pass through at one point anywhere on this graph. Doesn't matter how many lines I draw here. It's the line itself, one line will only pass through the parabola once. So this one is also a yes. This one works. It's called a function. So now let's test this one. So I already have a problem here. It just went through 2 points. So this one already doesn't work. And if I test this over here, that's another 2 points it just went through. So these ones work. I don't really need to test these ones. Once I find out that it's passed even one time through more than one point, then it's a no. So I don't really have to go through and test each and every point if I find my kind of failing points right off the bat. Let me erase that. Okay, so now we have this kind of diamond looking piece. So with this one, if I draw a line anywhere on this graph, I'm going to have to pass through the top and the bottom. The only way that doesn't happen is if I go on the very side and I only pass through the very sides. So those are the only 2 lines that could pass, but the rest of these lines would definitely fail because they go through here and here. This one goes through at the top, at the bottom. This one goes through at the top and the bottom. So even though I have a couple lines that pass, remember, as long as one line fails, only one, then it doesn't work. So this is a no. All right, so we have this one. It's kind of like an absolute value just going off to the side. This is what an absolute value kind of looks like. Usually we have it going like this, but for whatever reason we're having it go off to the side here. So now with this one, the only vertical line I could draw that would pass would be that one. It would touch right there in the end. But any other line that I go through is going to do that same thing that it did on the diamond. So this is almost kind of like we're looking at the side of the diamond, just kind of magnified there, much bigger. But it's going to go through at least twice anywhere else on this relation. So this one is a no. All right, this one's a little bit tricky because we have these 2 lines and we also have this open dot. So this open dot actually means that it's not included. So if I actually drew a line like this passes the test because it does go through this part down here, this part of the graph, and it goes through the open dot. The open dot is not actually included. So it still works. But anywhere else on the 2 lines, it would pass through at least 2 points here. So this one does not pass overall. It's only that one line. I wanted to make that clear. So I almost checked yes on that one. So this one's a no. So one thing I was going to show you, because this is something that comes up from time to time. Where's my pen? Turn that off. Oh, I gotta click on it there. Sorry, forgetting how to turn my tools off there. Okay, so this is one that we will practice in the future. It's called a step function when we do this. So I have seen them give ones like this where you have it closed, line, open. And then they have it closed, line, open. It should be open. Open. Closed, line, open. Closed, line, open. And hopefully you can kind of see why they call it a step function. I didn't do a great job because they should all be exactly the same size, but gives you an idea of what it looks like. So this is one that would actually pass as a function, because if I draw a vertical line through these like this, let me actually grab my line tool just so that they're nice straight lines, boop, like this, it goes through this point and this is not included. I can go through this point and this one's not included. I can go through this point and this one's not included. So I have seen this one as a question, just so that you kind of see an example of it. This would actually still count, because it's only going through one point at a time, even though it's going through that open dot. Remember, the open dot means it's kind of a starting or an ending point, but it's not actually included. That's what the open dot signifies. Okay, so there we have the vertical line test. So go ahead and give that a try on Alex. Oh, one thing I will throw in, because you can't draw lines on Alex like I am on here to actually test this, but what you could use is like the side of a paper or something like that and just hold it up to your screen so that you could test it like that, so that you can kind of see it if you're having trouble lining those points up, because you can't actually draw on the screen like this. So, all right, now go ahead and go give it a try on Alex.